You know the feeling when you stumble across something that just fits? No one told you to find it. There was no checklist, no teacher pointing the way. You just wandered in the right direction one day and something clicked. That's what a lot of people describe when they first encounter Martinus writing. It's not a system that demands you to believe certain things or follow certain rules, but a perspective on life that you are free to explore completely on your own terms. And honestly, that's rare. Most spiritual traditions, religions, self-help movements, they all have requirements. Things you must accept, boxes you need to tick. But what if there were a path that generally had none of that? That's what we are talking about today. Let's start with something that surprises a lot of people when they first hear it. Martinus never set out to create a movement. He didn't write his books so that you feel obligated to read all of them or guilty if you hadn't. There are no goal you're supposed to reach, no level of understanding you're supposed to hit, no community that decide whether you're in or out. Think of it as like a garden. If you plant seeds, you can't force them to grow faster than they are ready to. You can't decide which ones sprout first. All you can do is create the right conditions, a little water, a little sunlight, and trust that nature takes care of the rest. That's the spirit behind Martinus' work. He created the conditions. What you do with them is entirely up to you. And that's generally liberating because most of us carry this anxiety when we engage with something deep. Am I doing this right? Am I understanding enough? Should I be further along by now? With Martinus, that anxiety has nowhere to land. There's no further along. There's just where you are right now, and that's a perfectly fine place to be. Now, this doesn't mean Martinus' teaching are without substance. There are actually an enormous amount there. A detailed, logical framework for understanding consciousness, evolution, suffering, love, creativity. Thousands of pages across multiple books. But here's the thing, you don't have to follow them in order. You don't have to start at the beginning and work your way through it like a textbook. You can wandering in from any direction. Maybe you're drawn to what he writes about the meaning of suffering. Maybe it's his idea about creativity and how it connects to spiritual development. Maybe it's his perspective on death and what comes after. The meaning of life. You can generally follow whatever thread interests you. Double back when something doesn't click yet and leave whole sections untouched if they don't speak to you right now. Martinus understood something important. We don't all arrive at the same question at the same time. Your life experience, your background, your current struggles, they shape which ideas are ready to land for you and which ones aren't. And that's not a flaw. That's just how learning actually works. This brings us to something worth saying directly. You can't really be inside or outside Martinus' teaching. That might sound obvious, but it's actually pretty countercultural. Most traditions draw a line. You either believe the core doctrine or you don't. You're a member or you're not. You're committed or you're just browsing. Martinus never drew that line. You could read one book and you can find 3 ideas and change how you see the world, and that's enough. Labels like Martinus followers or not a Martinus follower miss the point. You're just a person engaging with ideas, taking what's useful and leaving what isn't. That's not a lesser form of engagement. That's exactly what he was inviting to. I want to be clear that this isn't just an interpretation. Martinus said it himself in the preface to the Livets Bog, the Book of Life, his main work, from the very first pages. He writes that the reader's own thoughts, opinions, and views should, and I'm quoting directly here, by no means, either now or in the future, be bound dogmatically by this same book. And I'm quoting again, in full freedom to think for himself, to work for himself and to collect their own insight from any kind of book or from any kind of place where they found what's useful. And then a few sections later, he goes even further. He addresses the questions of whether the Book of Life is the one right source, the one path people should follow. And his answer is direct. Whether you find your connection through the Book of Life, through another religion, another book, or anything else entirely, he writes, is of minor importance. What matters, this is his words, is only that the individual is just there where he either has or can obtain contact with that through which his own inspiration can be released. This is not a humble disclaimer buried in a footnote. That's in the preface to his main work. That's the foundation the entire work is built on. So what does this actually look like in practice? It means you can be curious without being committed. You can find Martinus' framework for reincarnation generally interesting without deciding right now whether you believe it or not. You can use these ideas about creativity or consciousness as a lens for your own life without signing up for anything. It means you are allowed to be exactly where you are. Maybe you read a lot and thought deeply about all of it. Maybe you just heard about it for this first time 5 minutes ago. Neither of these positions is better than the other one. And it means that if something doesn't resonate, put it down. It might not be for you right now. It might not be for you yet. Either way, there's no obligation to keep going. You can just leave it and come back later. So most spiritual paths at some point ask something of you. A leap of faith, an acceptance of authority, commitment to a community, or a set of belief. Martinus asks something different. He asks you to think for yourself, to take what generally makes sense for you, test it against your own experience, and form your own conclusions. In a world full of tradition that wants your allegiance, that kind of invitation is quietly radical. So if you ever felt like you don't quite fit inside any existing framework, like you're too skeptical for religion, but too curious for pure materialism, it might be worth wandering into that library and seeing what catches your eyes. No pressure, no requirement. If you found this interesting in any way, valuable, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more about Martinus and his work.